And I now recognize Mr. Swalwell, the gentleman from California, and our ranking member on Cybersecurity Subcommittee for his 5 minutes of questioning.
I want to thank the Attorneys General for participating today. Thank you for your service to your states. I was a prosecutor before coming to Congress. I missed that job. My father was a cop, my brothers are cops, and it seems like we've got a pretty educated group of Attorneys General here. Mr. Knudsen, you went to Montana Law School, right?
Yes, Representative.
Great. Pretty good law school. Mr. Bailey, University of Missouri, is that right?
Yes.
And you served our country after September 11 as well.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Mr. Drummond, you went to Georgetown, is that right?
I did.
That's a good school. I was rejected there twice for law school and then as a transfer. That's a very good school. I just want to level set where we all are on what's a crime, what's not a crime, because the three of you have offered testimony to my Republican colleagues about what is an impeachable offense. And I just want to go down the list here of some of the potential impeachable offenses that we've seen in the history of the Congress. Bribery, Mr. Knudsen, would you agree that's an impeachable offense?
I would, Congressman.
Mr. Drummond, would you agree bribery is an impeachable offense?
I would.
And Mr. Bailey, would you agree bribery is an impeachable offense?
Yes.
Same as extortion, Mr. Knudsen?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond, extortion?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
How about obstruction of justice? Would you agree that that's an impeachable offense, Mr. Knudsen?
If there was a conviction, yes.
Okay. Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
And Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
How about inciting violence against police officers? What would you say, Mr. Knudsen?
Again, if there was a conviction of a criminal offense, I think that would certainly rise to the level.
And Mr. Drummond, how about incitement of violence?
Yes.
And Mr. Bailey, incitement of violence?
Would need more facts to make that legal determination. I think that's bereft of sufficient facts.
And Mr. Knudsen, I just want to drill down a little bit because you said if there was a conviction. So are you saying that Mr. Mayorkas should be convicted criminally before he could be impeached?
Congressman, no. I'm simply speaking to your example of would inciting violence against a police officer rise to the level of an impeachable offense. My testimony was if there was a conviction for that crime, then yes.
Okay. And obstruction of justice, you said the same thing, right?
Correct.
But you think for Mr. Mayorkas, he does not need a conviction to be impeached?
Well, as this body has done in its past, I think there's certainly precedent. No, I do not believe there has to be a criminal offense. High crimes and misdemeanors, as it was understood by the founders, as it was understood in the English common law, does not necessarily mean there has to be an actual crime committed.
In the summer of 2019, former President Donald Trump used $300 million of taxpayer dollars to ask President Zelensky of Ukraine to get dirt on his potential primary political opponent, Joe Biden, and he was impeached in the House for that. Should he have been impeached for that, Mr. Knudsen?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, I'm not a member of this Congress. I'm not privy to all of that information. I certainly haven't seen a lot of those reports. This body chose to go forward with those proceedings, as is its purview.
Mr. Drummond?
It's outside my lane. I'm just a simple attorney general from Oklahoma.
Mr. Bailey?
I believe President Trump was acquitted of all charges, and that's beyond the purview of my testimony today.
On January 6th, he incited and aimed a violent mob at the Capitol. 6 police officers would later lose their lives. 1 lost a finger, 1 lost an eye. The president was impeached. 10 Republicans voted for that impeachment. Mr. Knudsen, should he have been impeached for that? Yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, he was.
Okay. Mr. Drummond?
He was impeached for that.
And should he have been?
I don't have an opinion on that issue.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, what do you think about that?
He was acquitted of those charges.
Okay. So what's interesting to me, and again, I respect that you all are here, is that when you've testified to Mr. Mayorkas' conduct and you believe pretty clearly that he can be impeached for his conduct, but when we go through pretty egregious conduct of using taxpayer dollars, of inciting and aiming a mob, having the greatest attack ever on this Congress, this Capitol, our Constitution, you don't want to comment on it at all. And I think what we're really seeing from the majority in all of this is that they're not interested in finding any solution on the border. In fact, what we have seen is that there's a 2014 deal in the Senate, bipartisan. They walked away when they were in the majority. Speaker Johnson has said that he will refuse any additional funding for the border. And now we have witnesses who, again, want to comment only on Mayorkas but don't want to comment on President Trump. Mr. Chairman, respectfully, I just see a party that does not want to fix, but only wants the fiction. And with that, I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize